All right, welcome back. Well, 1 in 5 children live with a parent who has mental health concerns, and these youth are at a heightened risk of developing psychological problems themselves. And sadly, their struggles and needs are often overlooked. Michelle Esri from Full Well Neurofeedback and Counseling joins us now live with why this is and what we can do to sort of change that narrative. Michelle, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Claire.
All right, so first of all, let's talk about some tips for parents on what we can do and why this is.
Yeah. Well, I think overall, an important thing to remember is when it comes to kids, it's really important that they feel safe and that they feel loved, right? It's almost the other things beyond that are things that are unique to each parenting situation. But in a situation where you have a parent at home with their children, who is dealing with mental health issues, it can be really difficult for them to feel safe and to feel loved. And so if you are another adult in this child's life, maybe you're another parent, or maybe you are a grandparent or a friend or something like that. These are things that you could do. There are a few things you could do to kind of help that child feel safe, help that child feel okay, feel safe, feel loved.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a graphic that we can show our viewers right now, talking about some of the things that we can do.
Absolutely. The first thing on here is keep communication open and honest. One of the things that we tend to do with kids is we try and kind of work our way around and not be fully honest sometimes, right, to protect them. But in a situation where they're being exposed to something in their home, honesty is really important. They know what's happening. They're seeing what's happening. And so it's important for you to be able to allow them to share their feelings, be able to talk openly about what's happening at an age-appropriate level, but they need to be able to be honest about it. If we're covering it up, that's going to make it hard for them to be able to communicate and to deal with it. Another thing to do is to make time for connection. This could be one-on-one time with the child. This could be spending time with other kids. This could be where are the places where they're going to feel connected and safe and secure in relationship if they have a relationship that doesn't always feel safe and secure. Speak against self-blame and encourage choice. One of the things that kids tend to do is they tend to take responsibility on their shoulders for things that are not theirs to own. And that can be especially true when there's a parent who's dealing with something or in other situations that are really difficult in the home. And so being able to say directly to a child that it isn't your fault, you are not to blame for these issues, the things that are going on are not your responsibility, and then helping them to choose the things, empowering them to choose what they have the option of choosing. You can choose to leave this when this happens. You can choose to go in your bedroom and shut the door. You can choose to call me. You can choose to call your friend. Another would be to help set up a support network. Who would they call in a situation? To be able to help them when things are difficult, or that they can talk to when things are hard, or if they need to stay somewhere. Do you have friends and family members nearby that you can communicate with?
And you mentioned age appropriateness. Do you have any age guidelines on when you should maybe hide it from the child, obviously, or maybe not go into a lot of details, but then an age when they might be able to handle more of the truth?
Once they get to about 8 to 12, they have a lot of awareness about what's happening, but it's really 12 and up that they're able to really communicate at a higher level, maybe even 14 and up, depending on the child, right? Each child's a little different, but if they're dealing with stuff at home, probably 12 and up, they're able to communicate quite a bit, maybe even more than what would be typical if they're dealing with a difficult situation. But 8 to 12, they have awareness of what's happening. And so being able to talk about it, but maybe not get into the nitty gritty details in the 8 to 12 range, and the 12 and up, you really need to probably have honest and real conversations. If they're in middle school, they're already talking about and understanding concepts and things that you need to be able to communicate with them about their home situation in an equally honest and open way.
And so we were looking at the statistics. This is 1 in 5 children who have a parent with a mental health concern. Is this number surprising to you, or do you feel like this number has gone up in recent years, or is this one of the things where it's just maybe now being more reported?
You know, this is probably just my guesstimation because I'm not looking at any statistics myself, but I would say a little bit of both of those things, or all of those things that you just said, right? I do think we are seeing an increase in anxiety and depression, and there is a lot of pressure on parents in today's society to do a lot of things or to take specific care with their kids, or maybe to hit certain marks with their finances or their work. And so that can add a lot of pressure. And as things are expensive, it can get really hard sometimes. So we are seeing an increase in some of those anxiety and depression. But there is also a part of this that there's a generational piece, right? We can often see some of these patterns repeat over generations, and that's part of what we're trying to avoid with what we're talking about today, right? We want this to stop some of the cycle of repeating this across generations. So it has been around. We are reporting it because we're more aware of it, but it gives us opportunities when we talk about it like this to be able to protect the children who are in situations.
Some great advice there, Michelle. We certainly appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Claire.